Hey, so tonight we're going to talk about Machu Picchu, that ethereal, lost city of the Incas, a place you've probably seen in glossy travel brochures, a symbol of ancient mystery and architectural genius. You picture the mist, the perfect stone, the spiritual aura. But tonight, we're stripping away the myth, peeling back the layers of time to reveal the brutal, bone-aching reality faced by the men who built it. Forget romantic notions. This was a testament to sheer, unyielding human endurance. Before we dive into the chilling altitude and the colossal stones, do me a solid, like this video, subscribe for more forgotten histories, and drop a comment below telling me where in the world you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. Alright, find that cozy spot, pull a blanket tight, and let's journey back, way back, to a time when stone spoke only of suffering. You stir in your warm bed, the soft glow of your screen casting a familiar light across your room. A gentle hum of modern life, a constant, reassuring presence. Outside, perhaps the city sleeps, or maybe the first tendrils of dawn are just beginning to paint the sky. You are safe, you are comfortable, you are utterly removed from the chilling reality we are about to explore. Close your eyes for a moment and picture that comfort. Hold it, because we are about to rip it away. Now, imagine a different light, a different sound. Not the gentle hum of electricity, but the crisp, thin air of the Andean foothills. The rustle of dry maize stalks, and the distant, haunting cry of an unseen bird. Your name, or rather, the name given to you at birth, perhaps Conta, meaning condor or wainer, young man, is called, not by a gentle voice, but by the sharp, authoritative bark of a local Karaka, a village chief. You are young, perhaps in your early 20s, strong from a life of farming the terraced fields, your muscles honed by the constant rhythm of the land. This isn't a suggestion, you understand. This is a summons. This is the meta, the Inca system of mandatory public service labor. A rotational draft for infrastructure projects, for warfare, for the glory of the Sapa Inca, the divine emperor. You have no choice. Your family, your village, relies on this system, and you are simply one cog in a vast, meticulously organized empire. Your time has come. The news hits you like a cold slap of mountain air. You've heard the whispers, the hushed stories of men who went to the mountains, men who returned years later, broken, or never returned at all. The legends of the city in the clouds are spoken of with reverence, yes, but also with a profound, unspoken dread by those chosen for its construction. You're not being asked to build a simple granary. You're being conscripted into something monumental, something that feels as though it will consume you entirely. The farewells are stark. Your mother, her face etched with a wisdom that speaks of generations of hardship, packs a small satchel for you, dried llama meat, some roasted maize, perhaps a small woven amulet against the mountain spirits. Her touch on your cheek is rough, calloused, but full of a love that transcends the grim practicality of your departure. Your father, a man of few words, grips your shoulder, his eyes meeting yours, a silent communication passing between you, a warning, a blessing, a fear. You know what he's thinking. Asterisk, will I see my son again? You're leaving behind the familiar smells of your village, the smoky scent of cooking fires, the earthy aroma of tilled soil, the sweet, cloying perfume of certain mountain flowers. Ahead lies the unknown, a journey into the upper reaches of the Andes, into a world of stone and unforgiving height. The journey begins not with a grand procession, but with a quiet, somber gathering of men from your own village and neighboring ones. You are all Mitayuk laborers, bound for the same arduous fate. The sun, already fierce even at this altitude, beats down on your neck. You wear simple woven tunics, unku made of alpaca wool, perhaps a heavier cloak for the biting cold of the nights to come. Your sandals are basic, woven from plant fibers, offering little protection against the jagged, rocky paths ahead. The air, though crisp, is already thinning, a subtle pressure beginning to build in your head. Each breath feels a little less satisfying, a little more effortful. This is just the beginning of your body's rebellion against the unnatural heights. You walk for days, perhaps even weeks, following the intricate network of Inca roads, often little more than meticulously crafted footpaths carved into the mountainsides. These are not the smooth, paved highways you glide across in your modern vehicles. These are narrow, treacherous trails, sometimes clinging precariously to sheer cliff faces, sometimes disappearing into dense cloud forest where the air hangs thick with humidity and the drone of unseen insects. Every step is a conscious effort. You learn quickly to conserve your breath, to pace yourself. The landscape transforms around you with each passing day. The gentle rolling hills of your home give way to increasingly stark, dramatic peaks. The vegetation changes from familiar agricultural terraces to dense, primeval forests, then to the barren, windswept puna, the high Andean grasslands where only tough grasses and hardy vicacus seem to thrive. The silence of the mountains at night is profound, broken only by the chirping of crickets, the hoot of an owl, or the distant mournful cry of a puma. You huddle with your fellow Mitayuk around a small fire, the meager flames offering scant warmth against the piercing cold. Sleep is fitful, plagued by the gnawing anxiety of what lies ahead, the unfamiliar sounds of the wild, and the constant awareness of the thin air. You ache, a dull, persistent throbbing in your calves, your back, your shoulders. Your mind, too, is heavy, replaying images of your family, wondering what they are doing, if they miss you, if they are safe. You cling to these memories, these fragments of your past life, because you know, deep in your gut, that the man who returns, if he returns at all, will not be the same man who left. You encounter other groups along the way, traders with their llama caravans laden with goods, messengers running with impressive speed, their quipu knots swaying, carrying vital information across the empire. You see soldiers, their fierce faces and disciplined bearing a reminder of the empire's power. But mostly, you see more Mitayuk groups of men like yourselves, journeying towards various projects, each carrying their own burdens, their own silent fears. There's a camaraderie that forms amongst you, a shared understanding of your predicament. You speak in low tones about home, about the crops, about the women you left behind. You share what little food you have, the acts of kindness small but significant in the vast indifference of the mountains. The altitude sickness begins subtly, a dull headache that never quite dissipates, a constant lightheadedness, a shortness of breath that accompanies even the simplest movements. You feel a perpetual exhaustion that no amount of rest seems to cure. Your body, designed for the lower valleys, is screaming in protest against the relentless climb. Your chest feels tight, your heart pounds a frantic rhythm against your ribs, as if trying to escape the confines of your body. You cough, a dry, hacking cough that tears at your throat, bringing up nothing but raw, rasping air. Some men, older, weaker, or simply less resilient, begin to fall ill more seriously. vomiting, severe headaches, disorientation. There's no turning back for them. They are left by the side of the trail, tended to by a few compassionate comrades, until they either recover enough to catch up or succumb to the mountain's cruel embrace. You witness this, and a cold knot of fear tightens in your stomach. This is not a journey of choice. It is a journey of survival. As you draw closer to the supposed location of this monumental project, the landscape grows even more dramatic. The peaks loom larger, their snow-capped summits glinting malevolently in the sun. The valleys plunge into dizzying depths, often shrouded in a perpetual mist that gives the entire world an ethereal, dreamlike quality, a beautiful yet terrifying dream. You begin to see signs of human habitation, not villages, but temporary camps, small, rough shelters clinging to the mountainsides, their faint smoke rising like thin prayers to the heavens. You know you are nearing your destination. The air is even thinner now, each breath a struggle, a conscious effort to draw enough oxygen into your straining lungs. Your senses are heightened by the deprivation. The cold seems colder, the sun hotter, the silence more profound, the colors of the mountains more vivid, more intense. And then, one day, as you round a particularly perilous bend in the trail, you see it. Not the finished city, no. What you see is a sprawling, chaotic scene of organized industry. Far below you, in a valley that seems impossibly distant, you glimpse the glint of water, the roaring rush of a river. Above you, clinging to a narrow ridge between two towering peaks, you see the first signs of construction, rough-hewn stone walls, the faint geometric shapes of what will become foundations. But more immediately, what assaults your senses is the sheer, overwhelming scale of the operation. Hundreds, perhaps thousands, of men moving like ants across the landscape. The air is filled with the dull thud of stone against stone, the rhythmic clang of copper tools, the shouted commands echoing off the steep slopes. The acrid smell of wood smoke, sweat, and churned earth hangs heavy. This isn't just a building site. It's a massive human endeavor, a testament to raw will and imperial might, carved into the very face of the world. And you, Wayner, are now part of it. The realization settles in your bones, cold and heavy, stripping away any last vestiges of the life you left behind. Your comfort, your home, your very identity are now secondary to the colossal task that awaits you in these unforgiving peaks. You are no longer just a man from a small village. You are a builder, a cog in the Inca machine, and your destiny is now inextricably linked to the fate of these silent, monumental stones. This is where your new life begins, high above the clouds, far from the warmth and safety of anything you've ever known. The call has been answered, and the mountain now waits to claim its due. You close your eyes again, one last time, picturing that modern comfort, that soft bed, that gentle hum. It feels a million miles away. You stand on the precipice, not of a cliff, but of a new, brutal existence. The initial shock of seeing the vast construction zone below gives way to the immediate, visceral reality of your new surroundings. You are led down a winding, treacherous path, each step jarring your already aching body, until you reach what is designated as the primary base camp. It's not a welcoming sight. Forget any notion of a structured, organized living quarter. This is an improvisation born of necessity and the relentless demands of the empire. The camp sprawls across a relatively flat, though still steeply angled section of the mountainside. It's a testament to the sheer number of men gathered here. The air, even at this lower camp altitude, is thin and cold, biting at any exposed skin. The ground beneath your feet is a mixture of packed earth and jagged loose stones. No soft grass or cultivated soil here. Your sandals, already worn, offer scant comfort. You look around, and your eyes take in a panorama of stark functionality. There are no permanent structures of any kind, no neatly built houses or even sturdy huts. Instead, hundreds, perhaps thousands, of temporary shelters, the landscape, clinging to every available patch of ground. They are makeshift at best, crudely constructed from whatever materials are at hand. Rough-cut branches, lashed together with plant fibers, covered with woven grass mats or animal hides, offering only the most rudimentary protection from the elements. Some are little more than overhangs beneath natural rock formations. With a simple windbreak built in front, you are assigned a space, not a shelter. You are simply pointed to an area, perhaps near a small cluster of similar makeshift lean-tos, and told, in sharp-clipped Quechua, to make yourself useful. You quickly learn that privacy is a forgotten luxury, and personal space is a concept alien to this environment. You will sleep side by side with dozens of other men, your bodies pressed together for warmth against the frigid mountain nights. The collective odor of unwashed bodies, stale sweat, wood smoke, and damp earth is pervasive, a constant assault on your nostrils. It's a smell that will soon become as familiar as the ache in your bones. Your first few days are dedicated not to building, but to simply surviving, to acclimatizing your body to this punishing altitude. The headache you acquired on the journey intensifies, a dull, throbbing hammer behind your eyes that never truly ceases. Each breath is an effort, a conscious struggle against the thin air. Your lungs burn, your heart races, even when you're resting, pounding a frantic drumbeat against your ribs. Simple tasks, like fetching water from a nearby spring or gathering firewood, leave you gasping for air, your limbs heavy, your muscles burning with an unfamiliar fatigue. You learn to move slowly, deliberately, conserving every ounce of energy. Any sudden movement can send you into a dizzy spell, your vision blurring, the world tilting precariously. Food, you quickly realize, is sustenance, not enjoyment. There are no elaborate feasts, no carefully prepared dishes. The diet is monotonous and utilitarian. Dried maize, ground into flour and mixed with water to form a thick and appetizing paste. Dried llama or alpaca meat, tough and salty. Perhaps some quinoa or potatoes if the supply lines are good. It's enough to keep you alive, to fuel your body for the immense labor ahead, but it offers no pleasure, no comfort. You eat quickly, ravenously, your body demanding every calorie it can get. The taste of dust and desperation seems to cling to every mouthful. Water is precious, hauled from distant springs or collected from mountain runoff, always cold, always tasting faintly of minerals and earth. You learn to savor every sip. Hygiene is a luxury you can barely conceive of. The concept of a warm bath or a clean change of clothes is a distant memory. You wash sporadically, when conditions permit, in icy mountain streams that numb your skin on contact. Your hair becomes matted, your skin grimy, your clothes stiff with dirt and sweat. The constant scratching of fleas and lice becomes a familiar discomfort, an inescapable part of your new reality. You learn to ignore it, to focus on the more pressing needs of survival. Illness is a constant threat. Colds, coughs, fevers, dysentery, any ailment can quickly escalate into something life-threatening in this harsh environment. Without the sophisticated medicine of your time, a simple infection can fester, claiming limbs, or worse, lives. You witness men succumb, their bodies wasted, their breathing shallow, their eyes hollow with fever. There are no proper burials here. The dead are wrapped in simple shrouds, sometimes placed in shallow graves, sometimes simply left to the elements, their spirits absorbed back into the towering mountains. The mountain is a demanding god, and it claims its tithe without mercy. The nights are the worst. The cold descends with a swift, brutal efficiency once the sun dips below the jagged peaks. The temperature plummets, often well below freezing. You huddle with your comrades, sharing what little warmth your bodies can generate. Sleep is a constant battle against the cold, against the hard ground, against the fear that gnaws at the edges of your mind. The wind howls through the makeshift shelters, a mournful, incessant cry that echoes the emptiness in your stomach and the ache in your heart. You dream of warmth, of home, of softness, but you wake to the same brutal reality, the same cold, the same thin air, the same monumental task looming above you. The sheer scale of the project slowly begins to impress itself upon you, not as a source of awe, but as a source of overwhelming dread. You see other groups of Mitayuk arriving, swelling the ranks of the already enormous workforce. You see overseers, Tukai, Rikok, recognizable by their finer clothing and their air of authority, constantly patrolling the camp, barking orders. Their voices sharp and uncompromising. Discipline is strict, enforced by whips and summary punishments. There is no room for dissent, no tolerance for laziness. Every man is expected to contribute, to pull his weight, or face the consequences. You quickly learn to keep your head down, to obey, to work. Your individuality is subsumed by the collective effort, your identity defined by your role as a laborer. As the days turn into a week, then too, your body slowly, grudgingly, begins to adapt. The constant headache dulls to a persistent throb. Your breathing becomes a little less labored. You still feel the oppressive weight of the altitude, but your body learns to cope, to extract every precious molecule of oxygen from the thin air. You begin to develop a rhythm, a routine. You wake before dawn, the sky still a dark canvas, peppered with impossibly bright stars. You eat your meager breakfast in silence, then join the throngs of men heading up the mountain towards the working sites. You are given your first tools, simple, functional, designed for brute force. Stone hammers, some with wooden handles, others simply river stones, chosen for their weight and shape. Copper or bronze chisels, valuable and carefully guarded. Thick, woven ropes of agave fiber. These are the extensions of your hands, the instruments of your torment, the means by which you will reshape the very face of the earth. You are assigned to a work gang, a small unit of men under the direct command of a lower-ranking overseer. These men become your immediate world, your temporary family in this harsh landscape. You learn their names, their villages, their stories, shared in hushed tones during brief breaks or around the communal fire at night. There's Waco, a burly man from the lowlands, whose constant coughing betrays his struggle with the altitude. There's Tupac, a quiet, stoic elder whose hands are gnarled and scarred from a lifetime of labor. There's Chaina, a younger man like yourself, whose eyes still hold a flicker of youthful optimism that the mountain has not yet extinguished. You'll learn to rely on each other, to anticipate each other's movements, to work as a single, coordinated unit. Your survival, you quickly understand, depends as much on the strength and reliability of your comrades as it does on your own individual fortitude. The scale of the quarrying operation. the sheer audacity of moving these immense stones slowly starts to sink in. You realize that the city in the clouds is not merely an architectural feat. It is an act of defiance against the natural world, a monumental assertion of Inca power over an unforgiving landscape. You are not just building walls. You are tearing down mountains, reshaping valleys, harnessing the very forces of the earth to create something that will stand for centuries. And you, a single, insignificant man from a small village, are a part of this terrifying, awe-inspiring process. Your fear is not lessened by this realization, but it is tempered by a growing sense of grim determination. You are here, you are alive, and you will do what must be done. The mountain has claimed your past, and now it demands your future, your strength, your very essence, to mold this world of stone. And so you begin, a solitary figure against an impossibly vast canvas, ready to face the relentless demands of the quarry. The call to work begins before the sun has even kissed the highest peaks. A harsh guttural cry from the overseers that pierces the pre-dawn gloom. You pull yourself from your fitful sleep, your body stiff and protesting against the cold, hard ground. Your muscles ache with a persistent, dull throb from the previous day's labor, a constant reminder of your physical burden. You shiver, not just from the biting cold, but from a deep, pervasive dread that settles in your bones each morning. Another day of crushing labor, another day of pushing your body to its absolute limits, another day of confronting the unforgiving mountain. You join the stream of men, a silent, shuffling procession, making your way up the treacherous, uneven paths towards the primary quarry site. The air is still thin and frigid, each breath misting in the dim light. The only sounds are the rhythmic crunch of hundreds of sandals on loose gravel and the occasional cough or grunt of exertion. The scent of damp earth, unwashed bodies, and the distant temps of raw rock hangs heavy. As you ascend, the first rays of the sun begin to illuminate the landscape, painting the surrounding peaks in hues of orange and purple. A fleeting beauty that is starkly contrasted by the raw, violent reality of the quarry itself. When you arrive at the quarry face, the true scale of your task becomes horrifyingly clear. This isn't a neat, organized excavation. This is a brutal, chaotic assault on the mountain itself. The quarry is a vast open wound in the side of the peak, a sheer rock face from which colossal blocks of granite must be wrested. The ground is a treacherous jumble of loose rock, sharp splinters of stone, and treacherous scree slopes. There are hundreds of men already at work, their figures silhouetted against the burgeoning light, moving like determined yet despairing ants. The air vibrates with the percussive symphony of destruction, the dull, heavy thud of stone hammers against rock, the sharp clink of copper chisels, the scraping of smaller stones used for shaping, and the constant, unnerving rumble of shifting earth and rock. You are handed your tools. For today, perhaps, it is a heavy stone maul, a basalt hammer roughly the size of your head, hafted to a sturdy wooden handle with rawhide thongs. Its weight is immense, a constant strain on your shoulders and back even before you begin to swing it. This is not a tool designed for finesse, but for sheer brute force. Your task is to extract massive blocks of granite from the bedrock. The Inca builders, lacking iron tools or gunpowder, employed ingenious, yet incredibly labor-intensive methods. You learn quickly that precision is vital, but so is raw power. Your work begins with the process of identifying natural fissures or weaknesses in the granite. You might spend hours simply studying the rock face, looking for clues, guided by the experienced eyes of the elders in your work gang. Once a suitable section is found, the painstaking work of wedge splitting begins. You and your comrades will systematically pound lines of small, hard stone wedges, or sometimes bronze ones if you are fortunate enough to be assigned such a valuable tool into these natural cracks. This is where the rhythmic, bone-jarring work truly starts. You grip your stone maul, the rough handle chafing your calloused hands. With a grunt of effort, you raise the colossal hammer above your head, your muscles screaming in protest with each upward swing. Then, with a surge of concentrated power, you bring it down with all your might onto the head of a chisel, or directly onto one of the wedges. Thud. The sound is dull, heavy, reverberating through your bones. You feel the impact travel up your arms, shaking your teeth, vibrating through your skull. You swing again, and again, and again. The rhythm is relentless, monotonous. 1,000 swings. 10,000 swings. Each blow must be precise, aimed directly at the wedge, driving it deeper into the stone. If your aim is off, you risk shattering the wedge, or worse, your own hand. Dust, fine and abrasive, fills the air. It coats your skin, your hair, your clothes. It infiltrates your nostrils, your throat, your lungs, turning your already ragged cough into a persistent, choking rasp. Your mouth tastes constantly of grit and earth. Your eyes sting, perpetually irritated by the airborne particles. The sun beats down with fierce intensity, reflecting off the pale granite, adding to the glare and the heat. Your body is a furnace, pouring sweat that streams down your face, stinging your eyes, soaking your tunic. The sweat mingles with the dust, forming streaks of grime on your skin, turning your exposed arms and chest into a canvas of mud and salt. The physical toll is immense. Your shoulders burn, a deep, persistent ache that never dissipates. Your back, perpetually bent, screams in protest. Your hands, already calloused, develop raw blisters that quickly burst, leaving weeping sores that sting with every impact. Your muscles, no matter how strong, quickly reach their limit, trembling with exhaustion. You learn to ignore the pain, to push past it, to find a reserves of strength you never knew you possessed. It's not bravery, you realize. It's simply survival. Stopping means punishment, and punishment means more pain, more suffering. Hours blur into an endless cycle of raising, swinging, striking. Your mind empties, focused only on the next blow, the next rhythm. You become a part of the machine, a living hammer, a tool in the hands of the empire. Around you, your comrades are doing the same, their faces grim, their bodies testament to the same brutal labor. The sound of their blows, the synchronized grunts of effort, become a strange comfort, a shared burden that binds you together. You know they feel the same pain, the same exhaustion, the same desperate yearning for the sun to dip below the horizon. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, you hear it, a faint crack, a deeper resonance than before, a subtle tremor through the rock. The wedges are doing their work. You and your team redouble your efforts, pounding with renewed, desperate energy. The crack widens, a hairline fissure at first, then a deeper, more pronounced split. Slowly, agonizingly, the massive block begins to separate from the mother rock, groaning and protesting as if it were a living entity. The moment of separation is dangerous, exhilarating, and terrifying. The rock can shatter unexpectedly, sending lethal shards flying, or shift suddenly, crushing an unwary limb. You leap back, panting, your heart hammering against your ribs, watching as the colossal block finally breaks free, a victory hard won against the stubborn stone. But this is not the end of the quarrying process. Once detached, the block, often weighing many tons, must be roughly shaped and trimmed. You use smaller, more precise stone hammers, peckers, to chip away at the edges, removing irregularities, squaring off the block for easier transport. This work requires a different kind of precision, a meticulous eye for the grain of the stone, a steady hand. But it is no less physically demanding. Your arms still ache. Your shoulders still burn as you chip away, sending more clouds of dust into the air, creating a finer, sharper grit that irritates your lungs even more. The dangers of the quarry are omnipresent. Falling rocks are a constant threat. A slip of a foot, a dislodged stone from above, can mean instant death or crippling injury. You learn to be constantly aware of your surroundings, to watch for the subtle signs of instability, to listen for the ominous groan of shifting earth. There are no safety harnesses, no hard hats, no protective gear. Your quick reflexes and the vigilance of your comrades are your only safeguards. You see men fall, you see limbs crushed, you see heads split open by errant stones. You learn to quickly move the injured, to accept the dead. Life is cheap in the quarry, a grim reality you internalize with each passing day. The empire values the stone more than the lives of the men who extract it. The sun begins its slow descent, painting the western sky in fiery hues, a stark contrast to the grim reality of the quarry. A horn sounds, a welcome, albeit temporary, reprieve. You drop your maul, the relief so profound it's almost dizzying. Your body screams for rest, your mind craves a moment of silence from the constant din. You join the weary procession back to camp, your steps heavy, your body leaning into the descent, conserving what little energy you have left. The campfires begin to flicker into life, offering a deceptive warmth against the chilling evening air. You eat your meager meal, chew your coca leaves to dull the pain and stave off hunger, and then you collapse into your designated space, your body aching, your mind numb. You close your eyes, the image of the raw, violent quarry etched into your eyelids. The mountain has cried today, and you have been its instrument, its unwitting partner in destruction and creation. And tomorrow, you know, the stone will cry again, and you will be there, hammer in hand, ready to answer its call. As the first tendrils of dawn claw at the eastern sky, painting the impossibly vast mountains in hues of violet and grey, a different dread settles in your stomach. Today, you are not merely quarrying stone. You are moving it. Not small, manageable rocks, but the very leviathans of the mountain, gargantuan blocks of granite weighing many tons, some as heavy as your entire village's llama herd combined. This is the heart of the impossibility, the monumental challenge that defines Machu Picchu's construction. You gather with your assigned work gang, your muscles already protesting the previous day's quarrying, your mind bracing for a different kind of torment. You descend into the quarry pit where the roughly hewn blocks now lie, like sleeping giants awaiting their awakening. The air down here feels heavy, thick with dust and the oppressive weight of the rock itself. You are shown the day's targets, immense blocks that seem utterly immobile, fused to the earth. Your overseer, a man with eyes as hard as the granite you are about to move, barks orders in crisp Quechua, gesturing with a rough stick. There's no room for questioning, no space for doubt. The task is given. It must be completed. The first step is to prepare the block for transport. This involves a method of leverage and strategic manipulation that feels both ancient and ingenious. You and your comrades, perhaps 20 or 30 men for a single large block, begin to painstakingly pry and lift the edges of the stone, inch by agonizing inch. You use stout wooden levers, often simple tree trunks or thick branches, their ends sharpened or shaped to fit beneath the stone. With grunts and strained cries, you insert the levers, pushing down on the long ends, feeling the immense resistance of the rock. Your feet slip on the loose ground, your shoulders burn, and the muscles in your forearms bulge with strain. Each lift is a collective gasp, a unified effort of raw, unadulterated strength, as one side of the block is barely raised. Another group of men quickly shoves smaller, round stones beneath it, acting as temporary rollers. Then the process is repeated on the other side. This is slow, deliberate, agonizing work. The air fills with the sounds of straining wood, the crunch of stone, the grunts and shouts of men. The dust, disturbed by every movement, rises in choking clouds, mingling with the sweat that streams down your face, blurring your vision. Your hands, already raw from quarrying, are now gripped around splintering wood, or pushing against rough stone, suffering new abrasions, new blisters. The collective effort feels like trying to move the mountain itself, one defiant breath at a time. Once the block is resting on a series of rollers, usually carefully selected, smooth, round river stones, the true nightmare of transport begins. The quarry, of course, is at a lower elevation than the main construction site. So, every single block, every single piece of granite must be moved uphill. Not just a gentle incline, but steep, unforgiving gradients, often along paths that are little more than carved out ledges on the mountainside. Thick ropes, woven from incredibly strong agave fibers, are brought out. These ropes, essential to Inca engineering, are themselves marvels of craftsmanship, but they are unforgiving in your hands. They are wrapped around the block, secured in multiple places, creating a harness for the stone. Then the men are divided. Some will pull from the front, their backs to the block, straining against the immense inertia. Others will push from behind, their shoulders pressed against the cold, unyielding granite, using their entire body weight to urge it forward. Still others, the most experienced and agile, will be positioned on the sides, using smaller levers to guide the block, to prevent it from veering off course or, God forbid, tumbling down the precipice. You are assigned to the pulling team. The rope, thick and fibrous, bites into your shoulders, chafing against your tunic. You lean forward, bracing your feet against the uneven ground, digging your sandals in for purchase. The overseer lets out a guttural command, and with a unified primal roar, you all pull, heave, the stone groans. The ropes creak under the immense tension. Your muscles scream in unison, shoulders, back, legs, arms, every sinew in your body straining. The block moves, infinitesimally at first, a centimeter, perhaps two. Then it stops, its weight asserting its dominance. Asterisk, heave. Again, the coordinated effort is everything. If one man falters, if one rope snaps, the entire operation could go catastrophically wrong. The block could slide back down the incline, crushing anyone in its path. It could tumble over the edge, taking with it not just the stone, but potentially several men clinging to the ropes. The fear is palpable, a cold, constant companion to the exhaustion. You feel the tremor through the ground, the vibration of the rollers beneath the stone, the stretch and groan of the ropes. Your lungs burn for air, your heart pounds a frantic rhythm. You feel lightheaded, dizzy with exertion and the thin air. The progress is agonizingly slow. A few meters in an hour, a few dozen meters in an entire day. Each incline is a new battle. For particularly steep sections, ramps of packed earth and stone are meticulously constructed, sometimes reinforced with logs, providing a smoother, albeit still difficult, path. But even these ramps require immense effort to haul the stone up. The men pushing from behind use their shoulders and backs, their muscles bulging under the strain, their faces contorted in grimace of effort. The dust kicked up by hundreds of shuffling feet, by the grinding of stone on stone, by the constant, brutal movement, hangs like a suffocating shroud in the air. You cough, your throat raw, your lungs burning, but you cannot stop. You must not stop. The commands of the overseers are constant, sharp, and unforgiving. They patrolled the line, their whips ready, their eyes scanning for any sign of faltering. A moment of weakness, a slowing of pace, and the whip cracks, a searing pain across your back or legs. A brutal reminder of your place in this imperial machine. You push through the pain, through the exhaustion, through the gnawing fear, driven by the immediate threat of punishment and the primal instinct to survive. The journey from the quarry to the construction site can take days, even weeks, for a single large block. At night, the blocks are secured, tethered with ropes, often with smaller stones wedged beneath them to prevent any nocturnal slippage. You collapse, utterly spent, your body trembling with residual effort. Your dreams are of movement, of straining, of the weight of stone. You wake with every muscle screaming, every joint aching, and the familiar dread of the day ahead. Water is rationed, hauled up by other meter-uke from distant springs. Each sip is precious, barely enough to wet your parched throat. Food is the same monotonous fare, eaten quickly, without thought, simply to fuel the next cycle of brutal labor. You barely register the taste anymore. It is simply a necessity. Your comrades, your fellow sufferers, become your world. You learn to read their faces, to anticipate their needs, to offer a silent hand when a rope is slipping, or a shoulder when a man falls. The bond formed in this shared crucible of suffering is profound, forged in sweat and pain and the constant dance with death. The paths themselves are dangerous. Sometimes the track narrows precariously, with sheer drops hundreds of meters deep on one side. A misstep, a moment of inattention, and you could plunge into the abyss, taking others with you. You press your body against the rock face, eyes focused intently on the path, your breath catching in your throat as the monstrous block inches past the deadly edge. The wind, which can be fierce and unpredictable at these altitudes, can whip around the corners, threatening to dislodge your footing, to push the block, to push you over the edge. You witness accidents, the sudden, terrifying snap of a rope, sending men sprawling, some tumbling down the slope. The crushing weight of a block shifting unexpectedly, pinning a man beneath it, his screams quickly silenced. The slow, agonizing slide of a stone over the edge, carrying with it a cry that echoes through the vast, indifferent mountains before being swallowed by the void. Each incident reinforces the stark reality. You are expendable. Your life is but a tiny fraction of the cost of this magnificent city. You learn to avert your gaze, to push past the fallen, to continue the relentless pull. There is no time for grief, no space for sentimentality. The stone must move. Sometimes the weather turns. The sun, which can be so brutal, gives way to an even more unforgiving rain, or worse, sleet and snow. The paths turn to treacherous mud, making every step a gamble. The ropes become slick, impossible to grip. The cold seeps into your bones, chilling you to the marrow, making your muscles stiff and unresponsive. Yet the work continues, albeit at an even slower, more torturous pace. You are soaked to the bone, shivering uncontrollably, your teeth chattering, but you cannot stop. The empire does not rest for the weather. Finally, after what feels like an eternity of pushing and pulling, grunting and straining, the block reaches its designated staging area near the construction site. The relief that washes over you is immense, a wave of pure, unadulterated exhaustion mixed with a momentary sense of triumph. You drop the rope, letting it fall to the ground with a dull thud. Your arms tremble, your legs feel like jelly, your entire body screams for release. You gasp for air, your lungs burning, and lean against the cold rock face, utterly spent. But this is not the end. This is merely the end of the journey for this stone. There are hundreds, thousands, more like it, still waiting in the quarry, still waiting to be hauled up the mountain. Centimeter by agonizing centimeter, you look back down the treacherous path, tracing the line of your suffering, seeing other groups of men like yourself, miniature figures against the vastness, still wrestling with their own leviathans. The sheer scale of the collective effort is incomprehensible, overwhelming. You are a single, insignificant part of this colossal enterprise, yet, without you, without the countless others like you, this impossible city would never rise. Your body is a machine, your spirit a wellspring of grim endurance. You have moved a mountain today, or at least a piece of it, and tomorrow the mountain will demand more. The sun dips below the western peaks, casting long, dark shadows across the construction site, silhouetting the nascent walls. The cold descends once more, and you begin the weary trek back to the base camp. Your body a testament to the brutal reality of moving the unmovable. Your dreams, tonight, will be filled with ropes, and the groaning of stone, and the relentless uphill climb. You wake with the familiar ache in your joints, the gnawing hunger in your gut, and the metallic taste of thin air on your tongue. But today, a different anticipation, a different kind of dread, settles upon you. Today, you are not merely moving raw stone, you are transforming it. You have been assigned to a masonry team, a subtle shift in your brutal reality, but one that demands a different kind of discipline, a different kind of pain. This is where the rough-hewn blocks, hauled up the treacherous slopes with such agonizing effort, are finally given their exquisite, almost impossible, form. This is where the precision that defines Inca architecture truly begins. You are led to a section of the growing city where walls are slowly rising, their geometric perfection already hinted at. The air here is different from the quarry, less dust from brute force, more from the fine, powdery residue of painstaking. The dominant sounds are no longer the heavy thud of mauls, but the crisp, rhythmic tap-tap of smaller stone hammers, the delicate scrape-scrape of abrading stones, and the hushed, concentrated voices of the masons. This work demands an almost surgical precision, a patience that borders on the superhuman, and an intimate understanding of the stone itself. Your first task is often to assist the more experienced masons. You learn by watching, by mimicking, by feeling. You are given a small stone hammer, often a hard, river-worn basalt pecker, shaped to fit perfectly in your palm. You are also given various abrading stones, fine-grained sandstones of different textures, used for grinding and polishing. These are your new tools, extensions of your eye and your hand, instruments of careful, deliberate creation. The challenge is immediate. The Inca architects famously used no mortar. The stones of Machu Picchu fit together with such astonishing precision that a knife blade, or even a sheet of paper, cannot be inserted between them. This isn't simply stacking rocks. It's crafting an intricate, three-dimensional puzzle, where each piece is unique, massive, and must interlock perfectly with its neighbors. Your specific task might be to prepare the face of a new block, or to refine the edge of one already in place, or even, eventually, to begin shaping a new stone that will be lifted into position. You approach a block that has been wrestled into a preliminary position, perhaps lying on a temporary platform of smaller stones. Your assigned piece of the puzzle might be a corner, a section of a long wall, or a stone that needs to be precisely angled to support a lintel. The master mason, Hatton Runa, a man whose hands are a map of scars and calluses, directs you. He points to an irregularity, a bulge, a section that needs to be shaved down by mere millimeters. You begin to peck at the stone. It's a precise, controlled motion, utterly different from the wild swings of the quarry. You hold the pecker lightly, letting its weight do the work, tapping, tapping, tapping against the granite. The sound is sharp, insistent, creating a shower of fine, pale dust that immediately coats your fingers, your forearms, your tunic. You work slowly, deliberately, removing only the smallest fragments of stone with each tap. This is a meditative process, a dialogue between your will and the stubborn resistance of the granite. Your eyes are fixed on the stone, studying its grain, anticipating how it will respond to your touch. The goal is not to force the stone, but to coax it, to persuade it into its perfect form. You learn to listen to the sound of the pecker, the subtle changes in its tone indicating whether you are striking solid rock or chipping away at a softer vein. Your hands begin to feel the stone, to understand its inherent properties. The master mason watches your every move, his gaze critical, occasionally offering a terse correction, a slight adjustment to your angle, a different rhythm of your tap. His approval, when it comes, is a silent nod, a rare and deeply satisfying reward for hours of grueling concentration. After the initial shaping with the pecker, you move to the grinding process. This is where the true, buttery smoothness of Inca walls is achieved. You take a coarser, abrading stone, often a piece of sandstone, and begin to rub it against the pecked surface of the granite. It's a slow, circular motion, a painstaking act of friction. Scrapes, scrape. The sound is a constant, grating whisper against the harder granite. Water, brought in small ceramic jars, is often trickled onto the surface, creating a slurry of stone, dust, and water that helps to abrade the surface more effectively. Your arms and shoulders burn with the repetitive motion. Your hands, already worn, are now constantly wet, raw, and chafed by the abrasive slurry. The fine dust, now mixed with water, becomes a thick paste that coats your hands, your tools, your clothes. You breathe it in, the fine particles irritating your throat, making you cough. But you continue, driven by the desire for perfection, by the absolute necessity of the task. The master mason will test your work, running his calloused palm over the surface, his eyes narrowed, searching for any imperceptible unevenness. If it's not perfect, you start again. The most challenging aspect, and the one that separates the novice from the true master, is the fitting of the stones. Imagine this: a massive block, already painstakingly shaped on one side, must be perfectly matched to an irregular, existing stone in the wall below or beside it. There are no straight lines, no simple squares. Each contact surface is a unique, undulating curve, a complex geometric puzzle. This is often done through a process of trial and error, a dance of placement and removal. The massive stone is lifted, using ropes and levers, inch by agonizing inch, into its approximate position. Then it is carefully lowered. The masons observe the points of contact, the gaps, the areas where the stone does not sit flush. They use plumb lines, water levels, and their own incredibly trained eyes to assess the fit. Then the block is lifted again, pulled away from the wall, and the areas that prevent a perfect fit are marked, either with a piece of charcoal or simply by memory. Then you return to the grinding. You meticulously work on those specific points, shaving off fractions of a millimeter, reshaping the stone's contours. This can take hours, sometimes days, for a single contact surface. The block is then lifted again and placed back into position, and again, and again. Each time, the fit becomes infinitesimally tighter, the gaps smaller, the surfaces more aligned. You might see a single stone lifted and lowered dozens of times, each cycle a testament to Herculean effort and unwavering patience. The strain on your body during these lifting and fitting cycles is immense. You are not only grinding stone, but also constantly engaged in the heavy labor of positioning these colossal blocks. Your back screams, your legs tremble, your shoulders feel like they are tearing apart. The constant shifting of weight, the precise coordination required, the endless repetition of lifting and lowering, it grinds you down, physically and mentally. The fear of dropping a stone, of a rope snapping, of an irreparable crack forming, it is a constant pressure. One mistake can undo days of work, or worse, injure or kill a comrade. The sun beats down, relentless and unforgiving, or the chilling mist rolls in, dampening everything, making the stones slick and treacherous. Yet the work continues. There are no breaks for weather, only for the deepest exhaustion or the most severe injury. You eat your meager meals quickly, your hands still coated in stone dust, your mind still fixated on the angles, the curves, the perfect fit. Your body grows accustomed to the perpetual aches, the raw hands, the stinging eyes. You learn to work in a trance-like state, your focus absolute, your awareness narrowed to the immediate interaction between your tools and the stone. Sometimes, a stone is finally lowered, and it settles into its place with a soft, satisfying sigh, a near-perfect union with its neighbors. The gaps disappear, the surfaces align. The master mason might run his hand over the joint, a rare, almost imperceptible smile touching his lips. It's a moment of profound, shared triumph, a brief respite from the endless toil. You step back, wiping sweat and dust from your eyes, and gaze at the wall, a single, flawless section, a testament to the collective effort, the immense skill, and the agonizing suffering that went into its creation. It looks as if it grew from the mountain itself, organic and eternal. You have faced the abyss today, and you have survived. But you know that tomorrow, the mountain will call you back to its perilous heights, and the dance with death will begin anew. The city rises, stone by agonizing stone, built on the edge of the world. And on the very edge of your endurance, the cold penetrates your rough woolen tunic, seeping into your very bones, even as you huddle with your comrades around the sputtering remnants of the night's fire. The taste of wood smoke and stale sleep coats your mouth. As the first faint streaks of grey lighten the eastern horizon, the rhythmic clang of a copper bell, or the sharp call of an overseer, rips through the thin mountain air. It's time to rise. This is the daily grind of existence in the heart of the construction camp. A monotonous cycle of labor and survival that grinds down not just your body, but your spirit. Your first thought, as your eyes reluctantly open, is often of hunger. The meager rations barely sustain you, and the constant back-breaking labor means your body is perpetually in caloric deficit. Breakfast is a quick, silent affair. A small portion of tuna, freeze-dried potatoes that have been rehydrated and boiled, tasting faintly of earth and cold water. Perhaps a handful of toasted maize kernels, hard and gritty. There's no warmth to this meal, no pleasure. It is fuel, pure and simple, consumed rapidly, mechanically, to prepare your body for the immense demands of the day ahead. Water, always cold, always tasting slightly of minerals, is passed around in simple ceramic vessels or hollowed gourds, each sip precious, carefully rationed, as the sun begins its slow ascent. Painting the peaks in fiery hues, you join the silent procession of men heading towards the work sites. Your muscles ache, your joints protest, and a dull, persistent headache, a byproduct of the altitude, throbs behind your eyes. Your clothing, a simple unqueuen cloak of alpaca wool, offers protection against the biting cold, but is rough against your skin, stiff with grime and sweat. You haven't had a proper wash in days, perhaps weeks. The concept of personal hygiene, as you know it in your modern world, simply doesn't exist here. You wash sporadically when opportunity and warmth permit, in icy mountain streams that numb your skin on contact, using coarse sand as a rudimentary scrub. The pervasive odor of unwashed bodies, stale sweat, and damp wool is simply the scent of the camp, a constant, unavoidable presence. The workday stretches from dawn to dusk, a relentless cycle of physical exertion. Whether you're quarrying stone, hauling blocks, or painstakingly shaping and fitting them at dizzying heights, the labor is unceasing. There are no fixed breaks, only short, snatched moments of respite when an overseer permits. You might pause to chew a few coca leaves, their bitter taste a welcome distraction, their alkaloids dulling the edges of hunger, pain, and exhaustion. You pack the leaves into your cheek, feeling their numbing effect spread slowly through your mouth, offering a fleeting sense of energy and mental clarity, a brief escape from the crushing reality. This ancient plant is your only comfort, your only solace against the relentless demands of the mountain. Lunch, if it can even be called that, is another meager offering, more perhaps a piece of dried llama meat, tough and salty, gnawed quickly to extract every last morsel of protein. You eat where you work, sitting on a cold, rough stone, your eyes scanning the horizon, your mind still half focused on the task at hand. Conversation is sparse, limited to practicalities or hushed complaints about the overseers, the cold, the unending work. There is little time for anything else, little energy for anything beyond the immediate task of survival. The social dynamics within the Mitayuk are born of necessity and shared suffering. Your work gang becomes your immediate family, the men you rely on, the men you share your small miseries with. You learn to anticipate each other's needs, to offer a steadying hand, a grunt of encouragement, a shared sip of precious water. There are no individual heroes here. Survival is a collective endeavor. Camaraderie is forged in the crucible of extreme hardship. a silent understanding passing between men who share the same bone-deep exhaustion, the same gnawing fear, the same desperate hope for release. You might share stories of home, of the families you left behind, of the crops, of the distant, gentler world that feels a lifetime away. These are moments of profound human connection, fleeting oases in a desert of toil. Illness and injury are a constant threat, and perhaps the greatest fear. Without modern medicine, a simple cut can fester into a life-threatening infection. A broken bone is a potential death sentence, often leaving a man permanently crippled, unable to work, and therefore expendable. You see men cough themselves into hacking fits, their lungs ravaged by the dust and cold. You see their eyes glaze over with fever, their bodies waste away from dysentery. There are no hospitals, no trained doctors. The traditional healers, the yacha, do their best with herbs, rituals, and their deep knowledge of medicinal plants. But their power is limited against the relentless onslaught of disease and the mountain's unforgiving nature. You witness the aftermath of accidents. Almost daily, a crushed limb from a falling stone, a deep gash from a slipping tool, a broken neck from a fall from the precarious scaffolding. The injured are attended to with grim practicality. Some are carried back to the camp, where they might recover, or they might slowly waste away. Some are simply left where they fall, their death a quick, brutal fact of life, their body unceremoniously removed to make way for the ongoing work. The empire cannot afford sentimentality. Every man is a resource, and when that resource is expended, another must take its place. This stark reality seeps into your consciousness, hardening your heart, dulling your emotions, forcing you to focus solely on your own survival. Evenings offer little true rest. After the long, arduous day, you return to the base camp, your body trembling with fatigue. The evening meal is the same as the morning and midday fare, eaten in silence, without enjoyment. You chew your coca leaves, perhaps for a longer period, trying to numb the pain that throbs through every muscle, every bone. Around the communal fires, some men might tell stories, ancient myths of the Inca gods, of creation, of the mountain spirits. Others might sing mournful songs of home, their voices thin and reedy in the cold night air. But mostly, there is silence, a deep, pervasive exhaustion that saps the will to speak, to connect. Sleep is fitful, plagued by the cold, the hard ground, the constant aches, and the gnawing anxiety of the next day's labor. You huddle with your comrades, seeking warmth, your bodies pressed together. The dreams, when they come, are often of home, of warmth, of the soft earth of your village. You long for a clean blanket, for a hot meal, for the gentle touch of your family. But you wake each morning to the same cold reality, the same thin air, the same monumental task that seems to stretch endlessly before you. Spirituality plays a complex role. The mountain, the Apu, is a living entity, a powerful spirit, sometimes benevolent, often cruel. You offer silent prayers, small rituals of respect, asking for strength, for protection, for survival. The Pachamama, Mother Earth, is revered, a source of life, but also a demanding mistress. You leave small offerings, a few coca leaves, a drop of chicha maize beer if you have it, hoping to appease the spirits, to avert disaster. This deep-seated belief system provides a framework for understanding the relentless suffering, a way to make sense of the incomprehensible demands placed upon you. It is a source of both fear and a grim kind of comfort. The days blend into weeks, weeks into months, the seasons changing around you, marking the passage of time without truly alleviating your plight. The constant cold of the high altitudes gives way to the torrential, chilling rains of the wet season, turning the paths to treacherous mud, making the stones slick and impossible to grip, yet the work continues. Then comes the biting, desiccating wind of the dry season, carrying dust and drying out your skin, cracking your lips, parching your throat. Your body hardens, your skin becomes like leather, your hands permanently gnarled and scarred. You become a creature of the mountain, adapted to its harsh realities, but forever changed by its demands. You are a Mitayuk, a builder of the empire, a cog in a vast machine. Your individual desires, your personal comforts, your very sense of self, have been subsumed by the relentless demands of the project. You exist to labor, to survive, to contribute your small, agonizing part to the construction of this impossible city. And as the sun finally dips below the western peaks, casting long, stark shadows across the burgeoning walls of Machu Picchu, you feel the profound, inescapable weariness settle into your bones once more. This is the daily grind, the monotonous rhythm of a life dedicated to stone, to the emperor and to the endless. Brutal task of survival. The years, not just months, begin to blur into an indistinguishable continuum of physical torment and emotional numbness. You have been here, at the construction site of the Machu Picchu, the young peak, for so long now that the memories of your former life, of your village, of your family, have begun to fade, growing distant and dreamlike. The brutal reality of being a builder at Machu Picchu has taken its toll, carving its cruel truths into your very flesh, etching itself onto your soul. Your body is no longer merely tired, it is fundamentally broken. The persistent aches that once troubled you have evolved into chronic, debilitating pains that reside permanently in your joints, your back, your shoulders. Every morning you wake stiff and groaning, your muscles locked in a perpetual protest against the endless strain. Your hands, once strong and supple from working the fields, are now gnarled, thickened, and permanently scarred. The calluses are so deep they hide the original lines of your palms, crisscrossed with healed cuts, perpetually cracked from the cold and the abrasive dust. Your fingernails are broken, often missing, ravaged by countless hours of prying, pulling, and chipping at unforgiving stone. Your fingers themselves are often swollen, misshapen, their dexterity compromised by the repeated trauma. Your back, perpetually bent under heavy loads or straining against immense stones, is a map of knots and spasms. A persistent, dull ache settles in your lower spine, radiating up into your neck and shoulders. You walk with a slight stoop, your once proud posture diminished by years of carrying impossibly heavy burdens. Your legs, though still immensely strong, feel heavy, perpetually leaden, the muscles in your calves and thighs burning with phantom fire even when you are at rest. The cartilage in your knees is worn thin from countless ascents and descents on treacherous mountain paths, making every step a grating, painful experience. Your lungs, perpetually exposed to the thin, cold air and the omnipresent stone dust, are forever compromised. The persistent cough you developed in the early days has become a deep, hacking rasp that tears at your throat, often bringing up phlegm streaked with blood. Your breathing is shallow, labored, and even the simplest exertion leaves you gasping for air, your chest tight, your heart pounding a frantic, irregular rhythm. You know, without being told, that your life will be cut short by this internal decay, that the mountain air, once vital, has become a slow poison. Your eyes, once sharp and clear, are now perpetually irritated, red-rimmed from the dust, the wind, and the relentless glare of the sun on the granite. Your vision, especially at the edges, has started to blur, making the precise work of masonry even more challenging, and the treacherous paths even more perilous. Your hearing, too, is dulled, a constant ringing in your ears from the ceaseless clang of stone on stone, the shouted commands, and the howling wind. The world around you seems to exist in a muffled, distorted haze. Malnutrition and illness are constant companions. Despite the regular, if monotonous, rations, your body is in a state of perpetual struggle. Your teeth are worn down, sometimes missing, from the gritty food and the sheer stress. Your stomach often cramps with hunger, or rebels with bouts of dysentery from impure water. You've witnessed countless men succumb to fevers, to infections, to accidents that would be minor in a different context. You've seen their bodies wasted by disease, their eyes hollow with pain. You've seen them simply disappear, claimed by the mountain, their contribution absorbed into the silent stone. Each passing death is a grim reminder of your own mortality, a chilling echo of the fragility of life here. But the price of labor is not just physical. It is profoundly spiritual and psychological. The man who arrived at this mountain, full of the vigor of youth, with memories of home and family, is gone. In his place is a hardened, stoic shell, a machine designed for endurance. Your emotions have been dulled, your capacity for joy, for sorrow, for simple human connection has been severely diminished. You are a tool, and tools do not feel. The constant fear of falling, of slipping, of crushing injury, of punishment, of death, has ingrained itself deeply into your psyche. It is a low, persistent hum beneath the surface of your consciousness, shaping your every movement, your every thought. You have learned to live with it, to accept it as an inevitable part of your existence. But it has eroded your sense of peace, your capacity for relaxation. Sleep, when it comes, is often troubled by nightmares of falling, of stones crushing, of endless, repetitive labor. You wake without feeling rested, the weight of the day's impending tasks already settling upon your weary spirit. The loss of individuality is profound. You are no longer Waina, the farmer from the valley. You are simply Mitayuk, a unit of labor, indistinguishable from the thousands of other men who share your fate. Your personal aspirations, your hopes, your dreams, they have all been subsumed by the monumental demands of the empire. You exist for the stone, for the sapper Inca, for the glory of a city you will likely never fully inhabit, never truly appreciate in its finished form. The sense of purpose, if it ever existed beyond grim survival, has been replaced by a deep, existential fatigue. There are moments, fleeting moments, when the profound beauty of your surroundings breaks through the numbing fog of exhaustion and pain. As the mist swirls through the valleys, revealing the majestic peaks, or when the sun sets in a blaze of impossible colors, painting the sky with divine artistry, you might catch a glimpse of the awe that first drew your people to this place. You might look at a perfectly fitted stone, a seamless wall that you personally helped to create, and feel a flicker of pride, a sense of having contributed to something eternal. But these moments are rare, quickly overshadowed by the immediate, pressing reality of your suffering, the bond with your comrades, forged in the fires of shared hardship, is perhaps the only true human connection left to you. You are brothers in suffering, understanding each other's unspoken pains, offering silent support. You have witnessed each other's lowest moments, seen each other pushed to the brink of collapse and pulled each other back from the precipice. This shared experience, this collective endurance, is a profound and unshakable tie. Yet, even this camaraderie is often silent, born of exhaustion, expressed through a shared glance, a grunt of effort, a knowing nod. The spiritual practices, once a source of comfort and guidance, have become more desperate. The Apu, the mountain spirit, feels less like a benevolent deity and more like a demanding, insatiable monster, constantly devouring the lives and strength of men. You offer your prayers, your coca leaves, your small acts of reverence, not out of devotion, but out of a desperate hope that you might appease its hunger, that you might be spared its wrath for just one more day. The gods of the Inca Empire, once distant and abstract, now feel terrifyingly close, their demands manifested in every stone, every aching muscle, every agonizing breath as the years continue to pass. The concept of returning home becomes a distant, almost forgotten dream. Many men never return. Their bodies are broken, their spirits shattered, or they simply succumb to the mountain's harsh embrace. You know that if you do return, you will be a ghost, a shadow of your former self. Your family might not recognize you. Your village might feel alien, too soft, too comfortable. The man who left is truly gone, transformed by the mountain, redefined by the stone. The sun dips below the western peaks once more, casting long, dark shadows across the city that is slowly, agonizingly reaching its completion. You look at the nascent walls, the temples, the residences, carved from the very rock you have broken, hauled, and shaped. It is a monument, yes, a testament to an empire's power and vision. But for you, it is a monument to suffering, a colossal tomb built brick by agonizing brick, from the living flesh and spirit of men like yourself. The price of this labor has been exacted, not just in sweat and blood, but in the slow, inexorable erosion of your body and soul. You are a living sacrifice, and the great city, Machu Picchu, is your enduring, brutal legacy. And as you settle into your cold, hard sleep, you feel the weight of this legacy, heavy and immutable, pressing down on your very bones. The day finally comes. Not with a celebration, not with a pronouncement, but with a gradual slowing of the relentless rhythm. The quarries are less busy, the ropes lie coiled, the incessant tap-tap-tap of hammers begins to fade. The Hatton Runa, the master builders, walk with a different air, a sense of completion in their weary strides. The great city, Huayna Picchu, now stands in its majestic, silent glory, carved from the living rock, reaching towards the heavens. You, a survivor, stand among the few remaining of your original Mityuk contingent, a ghost of your former self, a testament to unimaginable endurance. You walk through the finished plazas, past the perfectly fitted walls, into the meticulously constructed temples. The sheer scale, the architectural genius, is undeniable. Each stone, once a source of agonizing labor, now seems to sing with a quiet, profound power. The sunlight catches the polished surfaces, highlighting the impossible precision of the joints. You trace the lines of a wall with your scarred, gnarled hand, feeling the coolness of the stone, remembering the pain, the sweat, the sheer force of will that went into its placement. You see not just a wall, but 1,000,000 swings of a hammer, 100,000 breaths gasped in the thin air, the collective strain of 100 men heaving a leviathan up a mountain. Your gaze sweeps across the terraces, the agricultural fields, the intricate water channels that bring life-giving water from the distant springs. Every single element, every piece of this impossible city bears the invisible imprint of your suffering and the suffering of countless others. You are looking at your own monument, built not just with stone, but with your very life force. There is a strange, complex mix of emotions within you, a deep, profound weariness that settled in your bones years ago and will never truly leave. A grim sense of accomplishment, of having defied the odds, of having contributed to something eternal, and a lingering, quiet emptiness, a void where the man you once were used to reside. The overseers, the few remaining, gather the survivors. The mitre is over for you. You are free to return home. But home, you realize, is a foreign concept now. The world you left behind is no longer yours, and you are no longer the same man who inhabited it. Your body is a map of scars, aches, and chronic pains. Your mind is accustomed to the silence of the mountains, the constant vigilance, the brutal rhythm of labor. The softness of your former life, its comforts, its slower pace, they feel alien, almost frightening. The journey back is different from the journey here. There is no urgency, no dread of the unknown. There is simply the long, slow descent, each step a painful reminder of the years of upward struggle. You walk with a group of other survivors, their faces etched with the same profound weariness, their bodies bearing the same terrible marks. You speak little, having said all there is to say in the silent communion of shared suffering. You are veterans of a quiet, unyielding war against the mountain, and its toll is etched deep within you. As you descend, the air thickens, grows warmer, heavier. The vegetation becomes denser, lusher, the sounds of unseen life more vibrant. The smells of the lower valleys, rich earth, blooming flowers, the smoke of distant cooking fires, assault your senses, both familiar and strange. You encounter villages, small and bustling, filled with people who look at you with a mixture of awe and pity, recognizing the indelible mark of the mitre. You are a living legend, a survivor of the mountain, but also a broken man. Finally, you reach the periphery of your own village. The familiar sight of the terraced fields, the small adobe houses, the gentle flow of the river, it stirs something within you, a deep, resonant ache that is not entirely pain, nor entirely joy. Your heart, long numbed, beats with a strange, unfamiliar rhythm. You approach with trepidation. Your family, if they are still alive, if they recognize you through the gauntness, the scars, the haunted look in your eyes, greets you with a mixture of tears and awe. Your mother, now older, her face more deeply lined, embraces you, her touch both gentle and rough. Your father, his hair now streaked with white, claps you on the shoulder, his gaze filled with a profound sorrow and pride. But the reunion is bittersweet. You are home, but you are not home. The rhythms of village life, once so natural, now feel slow, almost agonizingly quiet. The small concerns of daily life seem trivial after years of confronting death and monumental struggle. You try to return to your fields, to the familiar work of the land, but your body rebels. Your back screams, your hands ache, your lungs burn with the effort. The precise, delicate work of farming feels alien to hands accustomed to breaking rock. You are strong, yes, but it is a strength born of brutalization, not of healthy, sustainable labor. You carry the mountain within you. The altitude has left its permanent mark on your lungs, your heart. The cold has seeped into your bones. The silence of the peaks, the vast indifference of the sky, the constant gnawing fear, these have become a part of your essence. You sit by the evening fire, listening to the stories of your family, of your village, and you find yourself unable to truly connect. Your mind drifts back to the soaring walls, the perfectly fitted stones, the dizzying drops, the faces of the men who did not return. You are a living ghost, haunted by the majesty and the brutality of the city you helped create. Now, you, in your modern comfort, perhaps still tucked into your warm bed, listening to the soft hum of your world, consider this. You can pull out your phone, browse images of Machu Picchu, marvel at its ancient beauty, its engineering genius. You can book a flight, trek to the site, breathe the thin air, and feel a sense of wonder. You can walk these very stones, touch these very walls, without understanding the profound, agonizing sacrifice that went into every single one of them. You see the glory. You do not see the suffering. You experience the awe. You do not feel the pain. The lost city of the Incas stands, timeless and enigmatic, a testament to human will and imperial power. But it is also a monument to the forgotten men, the Mitayuk like you, whose bodies broke, whose spirits endured, and whose lives were spent to carve a dream from the very heart of a mountain. Every perfectly fitted stone whispers a story of pain, of endurance, of profound human cost. When you look at Machu Picchu, remember the hands that shaped it, the backs that bore it, the lives that were offered to the indifferent, demanding peaks. Remember the silent cries, the bonneking fatigue, the constant dance with death. Remember that beauty, sometimes, is built on the most brutal of realities. And then, perhaps, you will truly begin to understand the legacy of the silent city in the clouds.